Hello, I'm Jim, this is Karen.
Hi.
And we are the voices behind Travel Snippets on YouTube. This video is about our beginning, how all this got started, and I guess for the most part, what we're going to do, what we've done, and the decisions we've made to date. Okay, this whole idea came about when I decided in 2018 I was bored and Karen was still working because she retired in
2021.
I decided I was going to start looking for basically an adventure, and that boiled down to finding different countries that we could possibly move to and retire in. One was Mexico, another was Portugal, Albania, which we're in right now, and Georgia was the fourth country, and I started to look on different expat sites on Facebook and started to talk to a whole bunch of people. And while I was talking to a whole bunch of people, I happened to meet up or start chatting with Paulette and Mark, which are now the two travelers in Mexico, but the time was the two chatters in California. They didn't have a YouTube channel yet. And we became actually pretty good friends on YouTube because, well, first of all, on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we used to chat on Messenger, and while Karen was working, Paulette and I would be on the...
Mark was working too.
Mark was working too.
So we would come home and listen to hours of them talking about what they talked about all day long.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But in any case,
they were investigating how, countries to, not necessarily just to retire to, but to how to get residency, how much it would cost. So, you did a lot of investigation on consulates and
everything else,
visas and stuff. So you were doing a lot of research.
I was doing a lot because I was bored and I had nothing better to do. Plus, I have a tendency to be slightly OCD, which means that I can spend hours on end doing something if I decide I want to do something. And drove Karen crazy because that's about all she heard in the beginning was how great it was in Georgia. Georgia, the country, not Atlanta. Nothing wrong with Atlanta, mind you. Albania, Portugal, and Mexico.
So we decided on, when we started getting closer and closer, we really landed on Mexico, and there was 4 reasons. The four basic reasons of why we did is location. I was not so sold on, when he talks about retiring to a different country, I had no intentions of necessarily retiring to different countries. I didn't mind thinking about traveling to different countries, but I was a staunch, I was going to retire, eventually in the United States. So location, proximity to the United States, it made me feel the most comfortable.
So we ruled out Portugal, Albania, and Georgia, the country, not Atlanta. And the second reason was?
Medical. Jimmy was already just about ready to get Medicare. I was going to be 3 years without it because I'm so much younger. And 3 years without any kind of insurance. So we were looking for something that had... in his research found out that it had pretty good medical, but at an affordable cost, or something that we felt like we could...
Compared to the United States.
We could do without insurance.
So we actually chose Mexico for medical was one of the reasons. The third reason was basically...
Cost of living.
Cost of living.
It wasn't necessarily the cost of living for the utilities or rent or food. It was cost of also getting residency. The visa process was pretty inexpensive. We could qualify pretty easily for the permanent residency
At that time.
and so all the costs to getting to Mexico and staying for any length of time.
And then we go to the fourth reason.
Familiarity with store brands, streets, looks. We were familiar with Spanish. We're definitely not fluent, but being from Florida and I ran a community that was basically a lot of Latinos. I was used to being around Spanish. We were used to hearing it. We were used to, when we came, we saw Costco's, Home Depot's. We kind of knew some of the brands. We knew the food. We had been exposed to it through Taco Bell. Just kidding.
Taco Bell, yes. We knew we liked Mexican food because of Taco Bell.
So those are the 4 reasons.
After the main reasons for deciding on Mexico came the time to go get a permanent residency. We did, and then...
And we just, like we had said, that I worked in an apartment complex, was a manager, so our home was in the apartment complex. We packed a couple of bags and we gave everything away, and we just decided at first we were going to try a nomadic lifestyle in Mexico.
I want to just add something. When you say you gave everything away, we sold our car.
Yes. We
had to if we were going to get permanent residency. You can't bring a car in to Mexico except parts of the Baja. You have to... You don't like the finger. Okay. In any case, we sold our car and we opened the door of our apartment, our then apartment.
You can tell Jimmy cannot talk without his hands.
We opened the door of our then apartment and actually gave all of our belongings that we weren't taking.
Everything that we didn't want to take with us.
Yep, we gave it to our employees. So we literally did give everything away. We didn't sell anything but the car. Okay, now we're going to move on. We left with a pretty good sized suitcase, right?
It doesn't matter what we left with. We left with the stuff that we wanted, but it was all portable.
It was minimal.
It was clothing and some electronics.
Yep. And
we tried Nomadic for about 3 months, and I had a nervous breakdown.
Yes, Karen could not do nomadic lifestyle, no how. We ended up
we traveled around for 3 months. We went to Mexico City, Oaxaca. We went to a couple other places. But I just couldn't adapt. I was, felt way out of my element. I felt out of control. I had no control. And I understand control is an illusion, but I had no illusions.
And at that point, we decided we were going to go to San Luis Potosí.
And meet up with Mark and Paulette.
And we ended up meeting Mark and Paulette face to face in person for the first time. We did end up liking San Luis Potosí very much.
The location.
And Mark and Paulette introduced us to a fellow by the name of Wayne, and we ended up actually renting an apartment in the same building
as
Wayne. And we were in that apartment, I guess, for 9 months.
9 months.
And we decided we were going to look at houses, and we did, or look at actually an apartment. And Paulette made us buy a place, so we ended up buying because of her. It was her fault that we owned it, and we stayed there another 2 years.
Actually, probably more my fault.
It was Karen's fault because she wanted a washer and dryer.
I wanted a nest. Like I said, I felt completely out of control. I just felt like it was too loosey-goosey. We weren't very good at picking out Airbnbs at the time or locations to stay. We had traveled a lot overseas, but it was always vacations. So this was, now we were planning on staying in place for a month at a time and doing things, and we were getting crappy places and not good locations, and it just wasn't going the way that I think I pictured it.
I also think one of the big kickers we had was, I think it was in Oaxaca, we tried to get our laundry done. About 3 days before we were going to leave, and got told with a bunch of dirty laundry, you won't be ready for a week. And that kind of set the wheels in motion, that we were like, holy, this is terrible. We can't do this. Or at least Karen said we couldn't do it, because I didn't feel like dragging a washer and dryer along with me throughout my nomadic. In any case, end of story there. We did buy a home in Mexico, and I
bought an apartment. It was gorgeous. It was the prettiest place we'd ever lived, honestly. It was 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath. It was brand new. It was a fantastic price. I don't think we would have bought unless it actually was the perfect location in San Luis. It was also the perfect price, the perfect build. It was a great,
it was a beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful. Did we love San Luis? Yeah, we loved it. And we loved Mexico. Honestly loved Mexico.
Yes.
And we used the apartment as a home base.
Traveled around Mexico.
And traveled around and saw every place we had on our list that we wanted to see, and some places we didn't even know we wanted to see, that we ended up saying, oh my God, this is beautiful.
And we really enjoyed at that time using the apartment as a home base. I liked feeling after visiting somewhere that I could use the verbiage, oh, we're going home tomorrow. That gave me a certain comfort level I can't explain, but it was just comfort.
But she really enjoyed it. So we weren't living necessarily a nomadic lifestyle, but we were living a lifestyle where we were traveling an awful lot around Mexico. And
we were taking a trip at least once a month.
We also learned a few things from our experiences in Mexico, which we'll cover in the next chapter. Mexico about 2 years,
2.5 years,
2.5 years, 3 years, somewhere in that range.
Yep.
And there's a few takeaways we got from renting not renting, but owning a home in Mexico, that helped us with the idea of possibly exploring nomadic life again. And I'm going to let Karen start with one of the main ones.
We learned how to overcome some obstacles, and that we found out that we were strong enough. We found out how to get telephones and telephone service, and that there were things that we could do and travel with that. We found out that language, even though I would really suggest, if you're planning at living somewhere, to definitely learn the language. The more you learn the language, the more you can to insert yourself into the culture and different things like that. But we learned that our pidgin, Spanish could get us through, and Google could do a lot of translation. We learned that technology was catching up with more of our nomadic lifestyle.
Yes. And we also learned that, and we hear a lot of people say this, so this is my own personal opinion on this, but you hear a lot of people that go to another country, whether it's in Europe or Mexico, and say, oh my God, they do this all wrong. Well, we found out that they don't do it wrong, they just do it different.
Yeah.
Mexico doesn't do anything wrong, they just do it different.
We learned to be more accepting of other cultures, and we stopped buying into, I think, though I love America, do not get me wrong, the United States of America still is has given us everything that we have to today, financially, and a lot of, education and experience. They're not necessarily number one in everything.
There's things that they do in the United States that are great. You're used to them, Going
Yeah,
to
I
another
think that's
country is going to really be, they talk about culture shock. There's culture shock.
Yeah.
Big time.
But we learned how to just kind of adjust with that and let our fingers loose we loosened our grip. We stopped keeping such a tight hold on what we used to know and started really embracing on the things that we didn't know. We started really enjoying learning about things we did not know.
Yep. One of the other things we found out was, and something that's ingrained in you in the United States, is you have to have a car.
Yeah.
You have to have a car.
Well, you do in the
can't
United
survive.
States.
In the United States, you have
do
to have a car.
to have a car.
In Mexico, we
lived-
went 3 years, 2.5, 3 years.
Three and
3
a half.
years without a car.
Yeah.
We walked a lot. We still walk a lot.
Yeah. We don't have a
And
car.
we don't miss a car.
No.
We don't look at it. We don't think about it. We use public transportation. We use buses, trains, planes, automobiles, whatever. But we don't need a car anymore.
I thought I was going to be the hardest thing for me to give up because I was really the driver in the family. And
I'm terrible driver.
Oh, he's
terrible.
horrible.
I'm worse than the Mexican drivers.
just-
They're just really bad.
He's a sightseer.
In any case, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it wasn't that difficult. We really did want to embrace a different lifestyle. It's one of the reasons why we were moving. And the further and the longer away from the United States, the more comfortable I became. So hence why we sold our apartment.
And I really think that having no car and walking a lot actually is helping our health. We are not sedentary by any stretch of imagination. We go shopping, we carry big grocery bags back or whatever we have to do. So, and that was all the time in Mexico we did it.
Yeah.
We went to local markets, people didn't speak English. We could figure it out. If you see a tomato and you want tomatoes, you point, I want tomatoes.
Which is easy because it's tomato.
It's a tomato, yes. I don't know. Well, in any case, that's the end of this chapter.
So as Jimmy was talking about, we had traveled a lot around Mexico, at least once a month. We had taken a week, 2 weeks, had gone places around with a bus and looked around Mexico. So our eyes started to wander back to what we were familiar with in Europe. All through our 25 years of marriage up to that point, we had traveled at least 2 weeks a year over to Europe. That's where we used to take our vacations. So our eyes started to wander.
And they were always 2-week vacations.
So we had decided on one big trip because we're retired now and we don't have to maintain 2 weeks. So we decided to take a trip all around Sicily.
For
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
And we took buses and taxis and trains around Sicily. Really enjoyed that trip. We just were in love with it. And at the end, I wasn't so gung-ho about saying, let's go home.
Yeah. She seemed to have taken well to Sicily. We didn't have any obstacles. We didn't run into obstacles because we had already been prepared for this kind of thing in Mexico.
A little bit more travel.
Yeah. And then some time passed and we decided to
take about a 5-week trip to Prague, Vienna, and Budapest.
And again, we used, I think we used buses, right?
But mostly trains.
Train. So we were there for 5 weeks also.
And by the end of that, I definitely wasn't saying I wanted to go home. It didn't feel like home anymore. Our hearts just kind of went to the European side. It just is. It was somewhere I felt a little bit more comfortable. And I think that Jim and I started discussing that after living abroad for 3 years, I was calm enough and had learned how to
navigate
travel
a
better.
Different culture. Yeah, and travel better.
We were doing better with picking accommodations, knowing how to do that, looking at alternative ways of travel, and I didn't seem to need to do laundry consistently. I didn't want to cook like I used to. That nesting had finally
Gone away.
It worked a way out.
I think the last chapter we want to discuss is why did we actually leave Mexico, and I think it's pretty apparent why we did, but we're going to reiterate it. We didn't leave Mexico because we didn't like it.
No, we enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it, and we had a great time
great
visiting.
Experience.
Yep, visiting places, and we learned a lot from it, which we talked about earlier.
So
I'm going to let Karen tell you actually why we left.
Because, like I said, the last time that we went back, we just said it just doesn't feel like home. And when I say that, I don't think it necessarily didn't or did feel like home. I just didn't need a home anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't have that where I needed a home. We do not have children. We do not have brothers and sisters.
We don't have mothers and fathers.
And so therefore we're very much our own people. We're the crew. And we talked about going back to the United States, and it wasn't just anything we wanted to do. We had seen what we kind of wanted to see in Mexico at that point. We're very easily bored.
Yeah.
And I think that we just saw that the European continent and the Asian continent, or over at least this side of the pond, the eastern side of the world, left a lot of stuff for us to explore and do. We felt like that we could handle the nomadic lifestyle, and
Actually, so far so good. We're
good.
handling it. So
we're about 5-6 months into it. We spent 3 months traveling around Spain. We sold the house the apartment in Mexico. We here again sold it, gave everything away inside of it except what we wanted to take with us, which was clothes and some electronics. We packed it up, and we've now flown over on this side of the pond. We did 3 months in Spain through the holidays and everything, and now we're 3 months in Tirana, or into Albania. And we're looking at the Balkans, and we have a lot of plans on looking at Asia and just traveling around. But having a blast and never looking back.
No, you don't look back, but we do, and I want to add to it because people always look at this and think, oh, it's probably because Mexico's dangerous. We never felt threatened in Mexico.
No.
We look back at our time in Mexico very fondly.
Yes.
We made some friends in Mexico, both Mexican and both California people.
Yeah.
And Karen said something about being bored. I'm just going to add this. It really doesn't have anything to do. I actually started a YouTube channel because I started to get bored. When we were in the United States for a short time, after we were getting ready to come to Europe, we spent about a month in the United States, and I had absolutely nothing to do. So I said, oh, gee, I'll try to do YouTube. And I did that in Texas.
Too, that we wanted to try to chronicle our travels. Neither one of us have, great memories, in that. So therefore, we wanted to be able to look back on our travels fondly and see where we've been and have a recorded history of what we've done.
And that's what the YouTube channel is all about.
And if people want to watch it, great. If not, I get it.
Well, I want you to subscribe because I just like to look at how many people are looking, but that's neither here nor there. I enjoy that kind of stuff. In any case, this is Travel Snippets signing off. Thanks for watching. Thanks for not watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for not subscribing. In any case.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, you don't understand the damn thing, but we're going to wave goodbye. And have a good day. Bye. If you found this interesting, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Have a great day.